them all against Earth, to destroy it. We shall conquer the entire universe.
almost there. God, I hope this works. So many people are counting on me. Let's try this.
System initializing. Stand by. Stand by. Software version 3.784. System online. System online.
Hello, good evening, and welcome everyone back to the Overwatch All-Star Brawl number 2, presented by Star Esports. This double elimination tournament is dedicated to the Overwatch Tier 3 community. We're in lower bracket round 4 tonight, and we're going to kick off a match between Hunky, Dory News and Magna Terra. I'm still Threepwood007. I'm glad to be back, and I'm joined once again by the ever lovely, ever wonderful Sir Waffle.
Very glad to be back here, Threep. Thank you once again. Glad I could get my mic unmuted this time before I started saying too much and I made myself look like a darn fool. But with that being said, I'm glad to be casting this game between Hunky Dory and Magna. Very excited to see these two teams. I have not casted for them yet, so I'm kind of excited to see them break the ice from my point of view.
This is going to be an excellent matchup for sure. These teams are pretty awesome, and it's also a rematch, vengeance game, grudge match, however you want to call it. Hunky Dory and Magna Terra both met in the upper bracket previously. Magna Terra took it 3-1, and then were unseeded from on high by Class 6, who have been on a bit of a tear. But for now, it's rematch time. Hunky Dory has been doing a pretty decent bang-up job in the lower bracket, having taken out Sosic Esports already.
Yeah, so far things seem to be going pretty well for them. I mean, obviously, being in the loser's bracket, things are a little bit high tense right now, but this is going to put both, or either one of the teams, rather, one step closer to getting the chance to reclaim their victory here going forward, so to speak. And I'm excited to see how they take this opportunity.
Yeah, we're going to be getting started on Lijiang Tower to begin. Both of these teams have a lot to play with on Lijiang Tower. We're seen a lot of good solid play coming out from either side. So I'm curious to see what anyone might be bringing to the table. Now we are on, I believe, a little bit of a readjustment patch that came out recently. So there's some changes. Sigma does a little bit less damage now. And otherwise, it's just some other balancing things that teams might be taking into effect, though I think Sigma's still going to have a 100% pick rate.
Yeah, I mean, perhaps, aside from the Sigma changes, to me, one of the most notable upsets, I guess you could say, about the stats that came through with this most recent patch is that Sim got a little bit tweaked. Her beam does less damage per level. Now I believe it's 5 less as you go up each individual level. But with that being said, it might limit the amount we see her chosen, because she's been kind of a rarer pick, but it's still one that we see commonly enough to talk about it. I think that this change might kind of dampen the impact we see of her, maybe even make her a little bit less commonly picked, although a lot of people tend to use her more so for the tech, such as the teleporter, the shield wall, things like that.
100% agree. And yeah, I think a team that didn't have strategies centered around Symmetra already might be a little less encouraged to go shaking up their established patterns and processes and strategies and tactics. But it's difficult to get around the usefulness of the teleporter, I think. We've seen a lot of teams use it on Lijiang Tower, on the guard, on Night Market in particular, to fantastic effect.
Yeah, and it's not a guarantee. We don't often, or we don't consistently see it, but I like the concept of using a sim on those 2 CP maps, particularly Hanamura. That's like the one I'm talking about, which isn't our map rotation. And I think that there's some really cool kind of maneuverances that you can do with that, getting to the high ground or getting to the even more inaccessible high ground. And I think if a team's able to do that, it's a really neat kind of dynamic. So hopefully it's not going to impact that kind of gameplay too much, at least from my point of view.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. And as we get started here on Lijiang Tower, we are going to be going to the indoors control center to start with. So yeah, that's going to be a bit of a thing. I don't usually see Symmetra come out on this particular matchup. It also doesn't mean, it means we're going to have to wait a little bit to get to our Pharah. But in any event, it might possibly be the moment when we also get to see some Mei play.
Yeah, I mean, when you talk about Command Center, it's kind of the pivotal, as far as Lijiang goes, tank-centric map. I mean, this used to be the most fundamental, all right, it's like Reinhardt, Zarya, till the day you die. And now it's gotten away from that. Sigma, Orisa, probably going to be what we're seeing coming out of these teams. Don't want to speak for them too quickly yet, as we do have a few seconds before the lineups show on the board.
Yeah, so with that being said, we are going to be getting started here, and Widow already tempting me with the Bastion pick, Guile, of course, expressing the namesake as well as they can with a Hanzo. But honestly, looking at this squad, you would not be too wrong to say that that's a pretty viable composition. Now, hang on a second. Garms, though, that's just mean.
Not What I'm particularly interested in here, though, is the Sim Bastion, because the Bastion was iffy. We were just talking about how the Sims kind of changed up a little bit here, but it looks like Hunky Dory's going to go with it.
Yeah, now Hunky Dory does have a little bit of fun with the Sim Teleporter and Bastion in Sentry mode, doing some serious damage, and Garms has popped onto the Orisa themselves, so they're going to be getting started here. The poke fight has begun, and yes, they are using the Teleporter to get Bastion up onto that high ground very quickly as this fight goes on. It's not going to give them a big shot at taking the point early, but Magna Terra is going to be able to use this middle control center to, get some quick picks in and also maintain point presence.
Yeah, crucial in there was Garms getting the pull onto Guile, getting them off that high ground so the right click could be set up very neatly by Nico. And, once you capitalize on that one sim, it can kind of snowball here, but we're not seeing that quite happen just yet.
Yeah, that was one of the filthiest anti-nades that I've ever seen come out from 2-0, evidence of the fact that their charge is definitely on the ground here. They've built up a lot of ultimates. They've also, with some good rotations, managed to keep Magna Terra from taking the point outright. So the point is going to go their way very quickly, but 2-0 is actually just going to get rid of every single percent point of ult charge they got to go back to a much more standard composition that we're used to seeing.
Yeah, Hunky Dory going to be suffering because of that team fight. Not just because they lost, but because they lost and then immediately swapped their team composition. A lot of ult's going to be given up, as we see pretty much everybody but the tank starting at ground zero, while Squid's already going to be popping that Coalescence.
And Guile finds Nico very quickly as well, with the Doomfist right click. The first pick is going in the direction, and the team that gets that is typically the team that makes a good time happen with the 6v5. Yep, there it is. Garms goes down as well. That's a tank and damage, and the rest of Magna Terra is going to follow shortly after, but it's a solid percentage point for their first thrust here.
Yeah, so it's not looking like it's going to be too long for the side of Magna Terra as the point continues to slip out of their control. And we kind of saw a little reversal of fortune a little bit there, but the team continues to fight here. It's neither team wanting to give it up. And Nico absolutely destroying on this Doomfist, trying to get some reclamation.
Oh dang, something, don't count your chickens before they hatch, Threep. Holy crap, look at these guys go. They have done a fantastic job of stalling out so long, and they've committed, I think, just enough ults to make it a really convincing one. The cleanup is, I shouldn't even say cleanup, the momentum has shifted back to Hunky Dory, but man, Magna Terra really made him work for it there.
Yeah, that's such an impressive kind of, I don't want to say reclaim because I didn't reclaim it, but it's such an exciting stall considering how little tank presence be on the field with these new metas. There's no more Ghost, there's no more triple, and we're not even seeing Mei Reaper that much anymore, so there's not a whole lot of potentials, hard stall from those cooldowns, but in general, it's just impressive despite those factors.
Yeah, and the Supercharger has come out, giving everyone super damage. The barriers are here as well, keeping the team up just long enough. Guile, however, holding on to the meter strike just long enough for it to wear off, then Nico goes down. Guile, however, follows extremely quickly after, and now it's going to be up to Hunky Dory to see if they can pull out just as wondrous of a stall as a bunch of Magna Terra did, but it looks like they're going to be made short work of, and the point is probably going to flip pretty quickly. It's just one teeny tiny little John that needs to get taken care of.
Yeah, and with that, we're going to be seeing some flip over, but both teams not really having a whole lot in the bank in terms of ult. We're going to be seeing that Moira on the side of Hunky Dory being pretty charged up, Guile going for the punch, but missing. That's going to be an opening for the now defending Magna.
And yeah, that's nuts. With those two early DPS losses from Hunky Dory, 2-0 is definitely not going to be able to spend their Coalescence into that. Widow's going to take just a little bit longer to get that Death Blossom, though it's certainly going to come online very quickly. User Wet Supercharger might be the one that breaks this hold here. They're going to have to get it off very quickly, though, if they're going to have a chance at getting back onto the point.
Yeah, getting early capitalization is going to be key here, but instead the early capitalization is going to be coming through from Magna Terra. Big hills.
Yeah, no one from Hunky Dory is going to be able to touch the point from this one, so it's a 0. After a rocky start, no pun intended, it looks like Magna Terra is here and ready to bring the pain.
Yeah, big rock indeed, and that's going to be leading them well into our next round, wherever it may be. We are waiting on the map to decide, and it's decided. Oh, we're going to go to Night Market.
Night Market again. Now, Hunky Dory brought that Symmetra out early on Control Center. Not necessarily the best map for it. However, this is the map where you see some really interesting and creative entrances using that portal. 2-0, however, sticking onto the Moira. I think that's a solid option, but John and Widow bring in the Pharmacy action.
Yeah, it looks like from the compositional setup, we're not going to be seeing the Sim come out this time around, but Widow on this Pharah, not necessarily the worst option. Doomfist Reaper have a very tough time dealing with the Rocket Princess in the sky. We'll just have to see if Widow can play it to their capitalization and get that ult charge built up.
Yeah, it's been about 8 seconds already. Widow's 30% of the way to their barrage. That is going to give me a mind-brain break at some point in time. But they've now taken the reverse side of the flank, and they're going to have to force Magna Terra to split their shields in order to deal with it. But it's actually going to work in their favor. Iron crit, since John Mercy paying all their attention to the Pharah means they're not there to pick up the healing slack.
Yeah, and the Mortar can put down a lot of healing, but Guile with that Doomfist leaping in just a little bit early resulted in them getting killed, which led kind of a snowball effect going in for Magna Terra. You think that instead, Hunky Dory may have wanted to play that a little bit slower, let Widow build up that ult charge a little bit more, providing those multiple angles of pressure. Then once the shield breaks, you can really get in there and collapse with your Doomfist, with your Pharah at the same time instead of trying to 1z2 it.
Yeah, if you're going to go with the Pharmacy, the Pharah Mercy has to remove players from the field again to compensate for the fact that there's only one healer keeping the front line alive. Now, however, Widow has built that barrage, and they should be able to make a really good play for the point here, but it is going to depend entirely on the Pharmacy's positioning. They're taking the high ground here. They've got the rockets going. Sigma Shield looking pretty low, and Rovi, they're nowhere near their ultimate as well. Aquatic building much further, and there it is, the barrage and the Coalescence go in, and the kills not really filling up like Hunky Dory would want them to. It's definitely not all Hunky Dory, and actually, Magna Terra, fantastic play for the point here, burning through res and now just taking them out one by one.
Yeah, Widow trying to go for that rocket barrage. It was only going to take out one, but they were flying a little too close to the floor when they popped it. Zeus was able to clean them up with those Hellfire shotguns, and they blew ults, and they still lost the life of the player utilizing that ult for a one-to-one trade. That's not the optimal ultimate efficiency you'd like to be seeing going forward, but they might have a chance to change it here with Aquatics Grab Flux.
Yeah, now the thing we notice here, this is the same exact thing that happened on the previous map on Lijiang Tower, except this time there is no point take at all from Hunky Dory, and Magna Terra have brought it to one fight territory, dropping the barriers and committing the sound barriers and the big damage boosting bongos to the fight, and Zeus holding on to that Death Blossom there. They're keeping Hunky Dory away from the point, and they need to go in. They have bongos of their own, but they have 5 seconds to make a touch.
Yeah, Hunky Dory looking like they just want to kind of play out, not fight right into a sound barrier just yet, but it looks like the option won't be theirs as Zeus going to be popping that Death Blossom for a little bit of cleanup.
Yeah, Hunky Dory News look fantastic when they switch over to this composition, but the things that they're trying before they get to it aren't working out, and the switch comes too late, and the fights don't happen. So Magna Terra take Lijiang Tower, not with a bang, not with a whimper, but with some really solid Overwatch and just sticking to a really consistent core mechanic of this composition that is pretty much the meta definition.
Yeah, I mean, there's something to be said about the meta, right? Like, I'm one of those people who strongly believes if you play a hero, especially in the lower tiers, just play that. You don't have to stick to the meta. But if you can, against a team that has equal skill on non-meta heroes, it's probably going to be a little bit more favorable. You have a lot more kind of resources to work with. There are people who have done deep discussions on the compositions you'll be running. But if your, team is most comfortable with like a Junkrat Tracer combination of DPS players with something ridiculous like Roadhog Diva or something along those lines, you don't get that synergy, you don't get that learning curve that you get from learning the meta otherwise. And I think that it's just going to kind of be what we're seeing is as far as sticking to the meta, because it's kind of time proven right now.
Yeah, 80% of the time works 100% of the time, but if you have an 80% win rate in Overwatch, please tell me what you're doing. And yes, I get it. Practice. Anyways, we're moving on to the I almost said man map. The ban and map selection phase. Volskaya gets banned almost immediately. No shock there. Assault maps tend to be the ones that get clicked off the map early. Now it is going to be up to Hunky Dory News HDN to grab the next pick before we get started and rolling, though. Reminder, Twitch MVP poll below the stream. Let your voice be known. We love hearing which players you think are popping off. Also, don't forget to drop the follow and subscribe for half off Subscribe September if you're feeling it. We have really sneakily special emotes that are actually kind of fun.
Can't wait to see all of you guys, whether it be in Twitch chat, whether it be in the Discord, whatever you like, give us that social media endorsement. We love it. We hope you guys are loving it too. And before we head on to our next map, going to be Gibraltar based on Hunky Dory News' pick, we're going to be seeing a swap. Adosia going to be coming in for Widow. So interesting. You think there's a reason for this?
Yeah, first of all, I'm surprised that Hunky Dory is going for Gibraltar, then following it up with Theodosia coming in on the switch for Widowmaker. Magna Terra is going to request the switch up, so they're going to be moving to the left in blue with Hunky Dory News on the right in the red, starting off their offense. But this seems like a very, very calculated move for them. The assault map ban came in, no baits was taken, they immediately went to Watchpoint Gibraltar, picked a swap. Theodosia just taking a quick peek at the good times. I'm seeing some sniper play, so it might be Widow coming out so a Widow could come in.
Yeah, and you and me, Three, we don't get to talk about Gibraltar a whole lot because that, and I would say maybe Volskaya, are some of the least picked maps in our map rotation. Volskaya obviously got the boot. We're not going to be seeing it based off of the decision from Magna Terra, but Watchpoint Gibraltar, it's very Widow friendly. It's very dive friendly. Do you think that, because we can talk about how Ori's Sigma, Reaper Doom is perhaps not the most dive friendly composition. Do you think we might be seeing a change from that? I'm hoping we will.
It would be nice. Gibraltar has some also, in terms of shaking it up a little, there's some pirate ship potential here. Gibraltar being a straight escort map that has some interesting angles you can play with. It's not entirely uncommon to see teams come out of the gate with that Symmetra, as we were just talking about. Bastion comes again as well, and it looks like we have a bit of a DC, unfortunately. User wet, the first victim of technical difficulties tonight.
Yes, and we will remember them fondly as their ghost hopefully comes to rejoin us here in just a little bit. Usually these kinds of things don't have too much issue, but it might start to wear a little bit on Magna Terra if they do kind of have those technical difficulties for too long. We do have a time frame to keep here, folks. We're not looking to keep you guys all night, and I know me and Threep are certainly not looking to stay here all night. We have other games to cast, folks.
Yeah, don't worry, don't get us wrong. We are going to be here all night, but it's going to be for Overwatch, not pause screens. Yes. That being said, this is, just part and parcel of the whole thing. So getting back to the compositional questions, though, yeah, I can see it. There's been some notice in the chat, and I do agree that, how do you say it? Hunky Dory News is a team that we see the Pharah from more than a bit, and it is such a powerful tool for them, but that's the risk of having a DPS carry is when your DPS is on, it's great. Good times, friend ahead, like we're all having fun and we're winning matches. When the DPS doesn't pop off, if there's not enough reliability from the rest of the composition, then you no longer have a leg to stand on. It's not like back in the day when a single sniper can just grab 3 picks really quickly. Pharah is a good DPS unit, but the burst ability is entirely centered on their barrage and environmental kills, depending on the map.
Yeah, and we talk about how, crucial certain DPS players can be, not necessarily as a whole, but on an individual character. Pharah, in my opinion, one of the hardest characters to really have that standout performance on because there's so many hit scans in the game. The hit scan is so viable now, and hit scan is kind of the antidote for a lot of Pharah play. If you can even put a threat up to the Pharah, you don't have to kill her, just make her hop out of the sky. McCree's ult, High Noon, considered by some to be the worst ultimate in the game. It can make a Pharah drop out of the sky instantaneously, because if she doesn't, she's going to die. And no Pharah wants that. And if you aren't in the sky, you're really not even utilizing, I'd say, more than half your kit. Your flight allows you to just have so much different gameplay styles that aren't available to anybody else on the ground.
Yeah, depending on what level of the ladder you're on, how high you climb, having that one aerial combatant in the sky and having no one who can deal with it is sometimes one of the most frustrating things on the planet. Now, especially with roll queue involved, if you have DPS on the field that isn't comfortable on hit scan or just doesn't pop off on a McCree, who is one of the options you see these days if you need a DPS player, Doomfist, hurtling into the backline. Bonus round, the McCree can handle some of the Pharah and reserve the flashbang for that. Also, Reaper can do this thing. It's called, it's so edgy. Teleports behind you like nothing personal kind of thing. So McCree, decent pick. If you don't have a good McCree, maybe you just stink at McCree. I don't know. I'm not that great. So yeah, it's not really necessarily my first choice. And yeah, Pharah in the sky, nothing can deal with her. Now, another thing that we talked about though, that might come up as well, speaking of which, Pharah Bastion.
Oh, that's That's very interesting because the Bastion forces you to kind of place all of your shielding in one direction. Because if you just place one shield, it's going to get destroyed almost immediately. But the Pharah likes it when you can't really focus onto her, lock onto her, get those positions kind of the attention that they need to, and she can just chip away at your team. Maybe, you have the Moira burst healing to deal with it, but she's going to build up a lot of ult charge. We can see that there are a ton of instances where Widow just Pharah builds up ult charge so quickly, and it's because the teams can't necessarily shield against it.
Speaking of which, and I don't think you were wrong actually earlier, Pharah going into the backline after those healers is such a good option. They tend to be a little squishier, they tend to go down in a couple direct hits, and that is the thing you like to do with Pharah, especially in this meta, is split those shields, get them going in different directions, and it's probably going to be the Sigma being able currently to recall their shield at an instant notice and redeploy it instantaneously. Whether that is going to stay in the game moving forward, who can say? That's reality right now, however, and once you get that shield pulled, then that's when the other damage on the ground can maybe make a play at that soft, squishy backline.
Especially if it's a Bastion just putting 1,000 bullets a second right into the face of the opposing team. However, no Bastion's going to be on the field currently, at least not for the defense. We're going to be seeing the pause, I guess, get nullified. We're going to be seeing the game come back into action here. And it looks like the red team, the side of Hunky Dory News, going to be doing a little bit of scouting with the Widow.
Magna Terra sneaking up on the right side. They're all crouching. It took them 30 seconds, it seems, just to get around the corner. They've brought a Mei with them. They're hiding. Oh, this is going to be good.
But it did look like Hunky Dory was doing a little bit of research. They seem to kind of have an idea that there's people hidden in the building, around the building, and they're going to be kind of very attentive to it as soon as Magna Terra comes around the gate.
They made their play, but Bastion Theodosia manages to get into that immortality field and live just long enough for Zeus to bring the mighty lightning bolt of doom down upon them. And yeah, Hunky Dory had a great response to that. It looks like they're going to get stuffed right back into spawn.
Yeah, it's not a great first push for the attacking team quite yet. Theodosia not quite able to find that damage that is necessary of that Bastion. However, we're seeing Guile still able to build up a little bit of ult charge, kind of the factor we talked about a little bit earlier with Pharah, not dropping either, not feeding their HP pool to the side of the defenders, which is really good because the defenders already looking pretty healthy on ults.
Yeah, and this is actually the functional equivalent of that Dorado hold with Mei, Bastion, Reinhardt, the shields in the room. It's working out fantastically for Magna Terra, who have kept the payload under 7 meters of motion. You get to hide in that little hole, little building there. And the Mei is just doing such a fantastic job of separating this team. Nico's not really putting up a lot of damage on the board, but holy moly, their control of this battlefield is intense.
Yeah, and they're going to be switching off the Bastion onto the Widow play by Theodosia, and that's going to put a lot of pressure in that room to make anybody poke out. They may realize that Rovi is separated a little bit, but maybe not, as User Wet going to be hopping kind of right into the side of a Mei.
So Guile tries to go for the barrage, grabs Iron Crit, so any kill is huge, and Theodosia finally starting to pop off a little. Mei's gonna put an icicle on their head, however. Zeus dropped the Death Blossom to get 2-0 out of the way, and ults are starting to come online for Hunky Dory News, but it's almost like a trickle. Like, not just out of spawn, the coordination from the team is getting a little fractured. As the kills start to stack up, they are gonna be getting this payload moving, but it's a lot of ultimates coming online for Magna Terra now.
Yeah, this is the longest hold I've ever been privy to, I've ever been casting for to even get around the first bend. They've already burned, I believe, a minute or two off the clock. So really, you're feeling pretty good about that if you're on the side of Magna Terra. Of course, Hunky Dory not going to be feeling too bad, as they're basically going to get through Car Wash for, I would say, free. Pretty much free.
Yes, definitely for free. They are going to be setting up for a big fight here. They have a supercharger to throw into this, and if they can get the kills, that's going to be the only ult they need. Coalescence goes in to keep up. Right there it is. Theodosia finds Iron Crit right into the fight. And User Wet goes down the supercharger as well. It's too even of a fight right now for either side to really claim it. Garms is actually going to fling their own supercharger into this fight, but Hunky Dory was definitely already on the run. But I guess it's nice to have an insurance policy.
Yeah, Nico using that Blizzard just to lock everybody down. No surprise there. We saw Zeus kind of close the gap and just pump everybody full of Hellfire Buckshot in that situation. And right now, we were talking about all the free room that the side of Hunky Dory were getting through Car Wash. it kind of doesn't matter now because they still have to push into the server room, and that's the exact spot that Magna Terra is going to play the same style we just saw on their first hold.
Yeah, we see a lot of hopes and dreams die here on this particular section of the map. Hunky Dory take the back way onto the cart, they get in, but Nico finds Tuo, who wasn't anywhere near the rest of the group. They find another kill from Theodosia. This push is absolutely over. It's got to be fast heroes coming out of spawn now for Hunky Dory if they want this payload to go any farther than the 72 meters that they've got it.
There's going to be only 30 seconds for them to get onto point, and it looks like no swap's going to be coming out from the side of Hunky Dory. Going to be trying to make it to point with the ults they have in hand. Tuo going to be having that coalescence to match Squids, but the sound barrier from Iron Crit buys a lot of staying power for the defending team. They're going to have to watch out for that if they're attacking.
Even if Aquatic can build up to the Gravitic Flux in time, it is going to be countered by Iron Crit if they don't use it early in the fight, and the Death Blossom goes off, and that's it already! Coalescence and Blossom find the tank and the healer, and it's going to be a total complete team wipe as Hunky Dory gets blown off the cart in their final push. Magna Terra looking extremely strong on this Gibraltar pickup.
And that was not ideal for the side of Hunky Dory. Magna Terra, like you said, you nailed it, 3. They are looking so good right now. And, you know, the cart wasn't even that close to the first point. It's going to have to be a really strong hold coming through from Hunky Dory. I'm expecting, in full honesty, something along the lines of a Bastion, just something that you can kind of put it all on. Ult economy, I mean, if you have to switch heroes, that means you're dead or you're at spawn for some reason, and that's not great in this situation. You want to be on the cart, stalling it as much as possible, not away from it.
Speaking of as much as possible, I think you also have to start off in pretty much the exact same setup that Magna Terra was pulling off there. You need to get that fight started so close to spawn, because odds are, if Hunky Dory is going to be given an honest assessment here, they're going to lose at least one fight, if not more, and they need time to get back to the victory box before that cart rolls along. Now, Magna Terra were able to functionally get big fights up front. Then, as Waltham mentioned, they got the Hunky Dory that is got car wash for free. It's probably going to go the same way if you set up like that, but at the very least, you're not fighting so close to the victory blocks that there's no way to get back in time.
Yeah, I mean, ideally, if they're able to make their team, you know, move as fast as Magna Terra did, Hunky Dory's going to have two fights that they can lose before defeat is achieved. Well, 1.5. Yeah. And that's a tough spot. I always say that it's going to be difficult, not unachievable, especially since this seems like a tactic that was very strongly suited for Magna Terra. I think they're going to have the edge in trying to debunk it.
And yeah, they have a feeling that the strategy had to have been read that way. They knew Hunky Dory was going to be fighting up here, but this is interesting. It's a high ground split, and they're playing very close to the edge. Theodosia is going to find Nico very early in the fray. Things are off to a great start for Hunky Dory.
Yeah, and it's kind of awkward for Magna Terra because now you're 5v6. You're stuck in this kind of hallway side room, and you know, prior to the rotation from Hunky Dory, it was enemies above you and kind of guarding the exit. I think that maybe Hunky Dory gave that room up a little bit easily.
Yes, they did seem to have a plan to reset up on the high ground, again making it a little more difficult now for Magna Terra to get in there, but a Maywall's going to stop that Bastion for at least one Ice Pillar's worth of damage. And as this time, they're not going to get the car wash for free. The offense gets hit with a little bit of an anti-nade. Iron Crit goes down again. Theodosia getting a lot of power off that Bastion.
Yeah, really a ton of damage coming through. And overall, the team's kind of rotating sides here. Going to be very tough. The body block coming through from Theodosia as Zeus just cleans them up.
That was one of the most disgusting anti-nades. Again, the play coming out from the Anas on Dory have been fantastic. But the payload is now actually going to start rolling.
Yeah, and because they did that late rotation, because they kind of did give up the car wash for free, they're going to have to really come in staggered. That's the exact opposite situation they wanted to be in, but there's really no time for them to get a good regroup in, especially with User Wet dropping that late into the game.
User Wet, I think, is going to have to... No, they are going to switch onto a Hammond despite the 70% Supercharger charge. Aquatic, they're not going to get a chance to build up to that Gravitic Flux. Squid finds them, kills them. It's no shields on the side of Hunky Dory, who are just getting rocked, one right after the other. The victory box is there. Magna Terra, match point territory.
Yeah, I have to say that was won largely on the back of Magna Terra's rather crafty defense, to put it lightly. They had kind of all the strats going there. They knew exactly what had to happen. The attacking phase for Magna Terra wasn't setting a blazing pace as we saw, but again, it was the defense that put them in such a good position to be able to win with, not to be a mundane attack, and that's what they needed. It was perfectly played on them.
Yeah, as we've noted, the rotations seem to have been given away a little bit for free, and one of the awful things that you get in that situation is user wet gets completely caught out. That stagger kill was a huge brutality. You can't bring the supercharger to the fight. You can't bring a massively tanky character to a stall. It shuts you down. It's not a good way. It's not even, it's getting outplayed, but it's a mistake you can save yourself from making for sure.
Yeah, but that's just going to have to be the case of hindsight for Hunky Dory. They're going to hopefully be carrying that with them into the next round. It's going to be a little bit more map banning from Magna Terra, a little bit more map selection from Hunky Dory, and then we'll be seeing them going on to our third and perhaps final map as Magna Terra now sitting in the king seat.
Yeah, predicting that this could be our last round for this particular series is not a bold claim. Magna Terra, by the way, going to be banning Hana Moira right off the map. Wish we could still do hero bans, but alas, earwax. Anyways, the reminder once again has to come out. The MVP Bowl, it's right below the stream. We've been seeing a lot of players pop off, and there's been some good defenses coming out that haven't just clicked. But if you're seeing someone you're liking, make sure you give them a vote. Also, it's the follows, it's the subscribes. We love making the content for you, so we love having you around.
Yeah, absolutely. Couldn't have said it better. And the players love it. The players love being able to hold that crown above their heads. I have spoken to every single player in every single team that has ever been on this cast. That's absolutely not true, but they have each told me that they all want to be the MVP champion. So you guys got to make that happen. You got to vote for who you think is popping off.
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of popping off, the choice has been made, and it is a bold one at that. Hunky Dory News have selected Nepal for the next map choice, and so that's it. Either they win this map or they're going home. There is no way to tie this one.
Yeah, this really does put the onus on Hunky Dory. This could be the start of some massive swingbacks. It would not be the first time we've seen it in this tournament. I'm looking at you, Runaway Turbulence, but it's stark, right? So Hunky Dory, yes, it's possible. That would be an incredible moment for them, but it's not without its obvious risks and difficulties. If they, aside from the fact that they have to win 3 straight, they have to win 3 straight on maps. Well, on 2 maps that will be picked by Magna Terra. They did have the advantage of getting to pick the map pool early, getting the cream of the crop selections, but moving forward, they're not going to have that if they do even get a win here.
Yeah, now the one thing that can be said, we talked about it earlier, now we're back on it, this is far as territory. And especially we're getting started on Village, it's a solid Farah map. So, as far as map picks go, solid option. I think if you're Hunky Dory and you understand that this is sudden death, you're lip syncing for your life. You're playing that last match, or maybe just the first of 3 more. But this is it. This is your Farah territory, and I think they have a solid option if they roll with that.
Yeah, you're gonna have to definitely hope that Hunky Dory has some fatigue practice in the books, because this might be a long one for him if it does go their way. However, looking at what the team comps are peeking out to be here for this first map, we're not going to be seeing a Farah come out from the side of Hunky Dory quite yet. Instead, it's going to be Zeus claiming to be the god of the skies in this situation.
And Theodosia setting up on the May is another really good option for this particular point setup. You have a lot of fun opportunities to divide it up pretty much how you want it to, literally ending fights before they begin and guaranteeing point captures.
Right, and I mean, we're not going to be seeing that May come to fruition as Theodosia going to be switching onto the Reaper, but that only makes Zeus's pick more powerful. However, they're not really riding with their Mercy right now. Well, I'm going to be rejoining them in short order as soon as I say that, and see if they can get any damage done, build those ults rather quickly.
Yeah, so this is fascinating. Zeus, yes, Master of the Skies. And this is what you want your Farah to do. What? Oh, no! What a direct right into the backline. 2 kills. Can he make it 3? Doesn't matter. Damage is done for sure. Yep, there it is. Nico finds it, pulling that other leg of the DPS duo. That is a team wipe, though 2-0 helping themselves by ending it a little fast.
Yeah, I already said it, but I like it, so I'll say it again. Zeus definitely proving to be the god of the sky right now. And I mean, we're seeing some really good effect coming out of these rockets. It just seems like he continues landing those shots, already having barrage up. Theodosia going to be switching onto that McCree, but you're playing a Safari that's at such far range right now that it's going to be hard to put down such focused damage that Zeus is going to have to drop out of the sky.
Yeah, and so the barrage into the back line I think is going to be a thing that is going to be a thing. Sigma Shield is out, but they're making some damage. Oh, is that some Theodosia McCree action that I do see? Forcing Zeus to back off a little, take a new position. This could be an opportunity for them to get some kills, but they have to make it happen, but a barrage is going to come into the back line! It's two, but a Meteor Slam grabs some other kills to be cheeky.
And, I mean, you know, both DPS ults and your Moira ult just to win a fight. You know that your opposing team hasn't really claimed too much damage on you. You're going to feel comfortable about that. Iron Crit going to be having that Mercy damage amp. So, I mean, they're probably all right with that. They're probably all right with that ult commitment. On the other hand, Hunky Dory not even having any option for response here until they take out Zeus.
Oh man, a trebuchet can lost what is it, 90 kilogram stone projectile X meters away, and it happens with the hardest grabbing that right out of the sky. But Iron Crit is there with the huge res. The point is still in their possession. It's 72%. It's 2-fight territory. So Theodosia getting those kills, starting that off. That's exactly the way you want to do it.
Yeah, and we talk about it all the time. McCree is so good against Doomfist when he can just stun him out of any of his animations. The Pharah trying to come in, but she has to peek inside the point to get any damage in. That's just not going to be working for the now attacking side of Magna Terra. And again, there's a little bit of stagger coming out. Rovi going to be trying to stay on the point, but it's not going to be working to maximum effect, as, you know, they're going to be dropping, only buying more time on the point for Hunky Dory.
The interesting thing about that fight that I super loved from Hunky Dory is that was a pure mechanical victory. They are very close now to the Big Six, the Ult Apocalypse. And there's a bunch coming out from Garm, Squid, and Rovi, and Iron Crit and Zeus. No, they're off the pharmacy now. I don't know if that's the best option.
Well, we'll have to certainly see. A lot of ults being invested in. Squid going to be taken down. Not an opportunity for that Moira to build her ult back up if they win this, which it looks like they will. Hunky Dory going to have a little bit of momentum, not having to worry about that ultimate coming through from the Coalescence.
Yeah, Theodosia, this is it. So now there's your DPS popping off. There's that McCree. And the Pharmacy switch is gone. Theodosia is still doing fantastic. Getting kills off of High Noon is pretty rare, and finding Moira with it is massive.
And we are going to be seeing a little bit of a pause come through right quick. Not sure what the issue seems to be. Every player seems to be... Nope. It's going to be a disconnect from Nico, it seems, the Doomfist. And if so... Okay, nope. Does not look like Nico going to be dropping, which is very fortunate. Nico so close to that meteor strike. You don't want to lose that.
Yeah, so that's super important. If the auto pause goes off, that's a sign of potential doom, but it looks like the reconnect logic was in. Nico is able to hold on to that 96%, and yeah, that's going to be kind of huge. But again, now Hunky Dory, they are doing fantastically with their ult management. This is looking real good now.
Yeah, you have to be thinking that Hunky Dory's in a pretty good spot. They didn't use all their ults, they just used about half. They're still going to have one of each. They're going to have the tank, the DPS, and the support. And on the other side, there's going to be a lot to work with from Magna Terra and Kynes.
And the Gravitic Flux goes in, that finds nothing thanks to barriers, but Guile grabs Iron Crit, and Tuo picks up Rovi. This is Hunky Dory activating. Zeus finds User Wet, but it doesn't matter. The fight is absolutely over as cleanup mode engaged. And now, for the first time since we started, Hunky Dory's going to have the percentage overtaken, and it's going to be it's their round to win it if they can hold on.
Yeah, if they can hold on for 10 more seconds and clean up in overtime, this will be the first point I believe they will have scored in this round. They're definitely going to be looking for that. Not a lot of ults on the board, though, as Garm's going to be dropping that Battle Bongo.
Wow, what on earth? How did that happen? No one was dead. They just gave the point up like it was their job. I get that the bongos are down, but you can't play like that. It's 7 seconds left, and yeah, John, you sneaky little man. Once again, Fruitwood can't get it straight because Rovi's already out of the fight. No ults to give, and the kills just keep coming in for Hunky Dory, who, if they can wipe this out, they're going to have it in the belt. Zeus, no. How? How does he do it? A 3K, a 4K! He just hoists all of Magna Terra onto his shoulders and just rolls right in. I don't get it. I don't get it. What? So that's it? 100. Oh, that's sneaky. That's an interesting one.
Yeah, massive. Zeus coming through there, just making a storm in the most perfect of ways. Magna Terra going to be very pleased about walking away with that one.
Wow, that was unbelievable. So, Magna Terra, excellent use of ultimates, positioning, point controls, etc. Yeah, I don't know. Giving away a point for free, it still rankles. The bongos is a very dangerous ultimate to contend with, but I don't know. I think the reaction, well, doesn't matter. Next fight, here we go. Now it really is sudden death. Magna Terra, take this round, and we're all going home.
Yeah, Magna Terra going to be looking to make this the quickest map we have seen, or the quickest round we've seen in a little bit. And right now, it's going to be on the side of Hunky Dory, trying to just resolve whatever they can. And we're going to be seeing Magna take a quick possession onto the point. Aquatic falling off. That's unlucky.
Rip in pieces. Rovi gets their Sigma opposite on the side. And yeah, that's again with some sick point positioning. Magna Terra take this so dang fast. They're even going to be splitting their team off as Nico decides that he is not to be outdone by Zeus. Once again, but Doomfist at least has the build to carry a team.
Right, and we look at these team members right now. Nico and Guile, surprisingly, at very even ult percentages right now. Where the difference starts to come in is the tanks. You notice the tanks on the side of Magna Terra looking massive with ult charge right now, but a little anemic from the side of Hunky Dory. That might really play the difference here. Yeah, getting wiped early into the fight definitely wasn't helping Rovi anymore. Ult charge there. Zeus, it's just the battle of the DPSs. Kill after kill after kill. User Wit goes down. Now Guile found as well. They did manage to take out Garms, that is, but it's still that's this choke point here that Hunky Dory cannot seem to be able to find their way through. Looks like they might be considering an alternate route. Yeah, and they're really going to have to contemplate their options here because standard play has not seemed to be working for them quite as well as they would have liked, but the backup coming from Magna Terra gives them a little bit of breathing room, a little bit of time to plan their options, get things under wraps, and see if they want to take it a different approach. So I super like this. Magna Terra, detecting that they're not coming back through the choke, is deciding that they're just going to back up right onto the point. And now a supercharger goes in. Nico goes right into the back line. So much freaking damage. John does boop Zeus off. That's kind of huge. They had the Death Blossom coming in, but Nico has decided, and now the coin is flipped. Their time to shine. Yeah, and this looked like it was going to be such a smart fight coming from Hunky Dory. We saw Garms pop that damage amplifier onto the point, but then they kind of rotate, or the side of Hunky Dory rotate into the area above point. But even though it's just like one or two members from Magna Terra going into those fights, mostly Nico, still getting a lot of kills despite not even having the amplification come into effect. It's not looking great. There needs to be some major changes from Hunky Dory or they're going home. Rovi's going to do the Sigma C9 play right here. Watch it. Here it comes. He throws up the Synchronize. He grabs them almost all off the point. And yeah, there's contesting on the point, but the damage was just so huge thanks to the splitting of the teams. It's cleanup time. Magna Terra, everyone's on the point. They're just so happy to be here. The wick burns down. The match is done. Yeah, and the Lucio sound barrier tries to come in from Hunky Dory. Not going to quite beat it. Magna Terra taking this one, the cleanest 3-0 we've seen in a very long while. Yeah, that was really intense. And again, as far as rematches go, it's definitely bringing some grudges, and I think there's going to be a bit more coming out after this. Last time, Hunky Dory was able to take at least a match away from them. This time around, it looks like they're not even going to be able to make anything. We once again decide to watch Zeus's barrage from the sky, ending up in a 3K for them. The DPS duo on Magna Terra, yeah, we've noted, they're really good. I agree with them. The tank play from Garms and Rovi was pretty insane. Yeah, I think that's where we started to see kind of the standout between the two teams. You know, the DPS, it's I don't want to downplay the importance of a DPS in this meta, but when you have such lethal DPSs, even, you know, at face value, Reaper, if he gets, you know, a chunky headshot with one click, he can take down a lot of soft targets. Doomfist, if he fully charges a right click and hits somebody into a wall, he can definitely take out a squishy as well. But it comes down to the tank play in this situation, because the ceiling between the DPS, it's hard to kind of differentiate how effective one DPS is doing against another, but you can tell how aggressive tanks are and how much space they're buying. One hit shots are, you know, I want to say easier. It's probably gonna be a little controversial. They're easier in some situations, but tank play is so variable. It makes it so much more difficult to kind of gauge where you're at in terms of relative skill.
Yeah, pretty sure that's 100% accurate, but what would a tank be without a healer? Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, we present to you the first interviewee. It's Iron Crit.
How is it going? What's up, boys?
Doing dandy. Congratulations to you and Magna Terra for the grudge match rematch against Hunky Dory.
Thank you so much. I think it was closer than it looked, for sure. We did a lot of preparation. Tuo's our friend, so we definitely wanted to put on a show. You know what I mean? Because we got a lot of friends in common, and they were all watching the match. So
Nice.
So a little bit of a chance to kind of puff your chest out, see who's a little bit better in that situation. It sounds, Iron.
show.
Fantastic. 3.
Yeah, so that was a really kick-ass match that we got to see here. Just a quick question, though. So how you guys feeling? How would you feeling going into this matchup? And you said it was a little closer than you would have thought. How you guys feeling now that it's all said and done?
We watched their game against Sosic, and we saw that they like to run Bastion, so we were like, yo, let's just kill the Bastion. So anytime they ran Bastion, we just killed the Bastion, you know? Like, we were just like, yo, Zeus, kill the Bastion, and Zeus popped off, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's difficult to attribute at times who the linchpin of a play is going, but if you go by the kill feed alone, it definitely was pretty clear that there was a lot of murder happening from Nico and Zeus.
Yeah, dude, not a lot of murder coming out from their Bastion. Probably because he didn't have the Lego skin, you know? Like, I love Legos.
Oh,
Yeah.
I love Legos.
Big nerf not using that skin, definitely.
Yeah. That's why tournaments should have, like, skins on. Because these important times, these events, where they buff Lego Bastion and stuff, like, things like that, it's just like, you know, you're putting yourself at a disadvantage as a team that runs Bastion in a tournament where there's no skins, you know? You're just not getting those buffs that he deserves.
Yeah,
You're telling me
fair
it's a skin-based meta.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Okay, yeah, I'm just making sure I understand the situation there.
Yeah, when skins are off, it's like everything's even, everything's like, you know, equilibrium, but, you know, when they enable those skins, if you got the Lego Bastion, you know, during the Lego Bastion event, like, how are you gonna lose? You can't.
It's the flex factor.
Yeah.
And what I'm reading in between the lines right now, Iron Crate. You're only saying NYXL won last year in the Overwatch League because of their colors. I'm picking up what you're saying. I'm feeling it.
Essentially, yeah. That's what I'm saying.
Okay. Fantastic.
I feel like that's fair. I was trying to like, pick it apart, like, you know, analyze, like, okay, like, where's this wrong? And it just didn't say any falsehoods.
Yeah, no, anytime you listen to a coach or an analyst or anything like that, and they're not talking about the skins, they're probably just, you know, making things up.
Gotcha, posers, understood. So we are gonna get wrapped up here real quick, but I want to ask one more question. It's been a while, honestly, for me personally, since I got to see Magna Terra in action, but you guys have been doing a pretty solid job. After this tournament, what are you guys doing next?
Probably gonna get our Q sprays in OD. I think we didn't qualify for the Rivalcade, so we're not doing that. I think we're definitely gonna be in the next All-Star.
Yes.
Regardless of whether we win or lose.
And that's
I think we already signed ourselves up, so.
That's what we love to
it.
hear. Yeah, we definitely look forward to seeing you guys come back and, you know, hopefully not even get knocked into the losers bracket next time. But we'll just have to see.
Yeah.
We'll see how you guys measure up next time. But for the moment, Iron Crit, do you have any final words to say before we let you go?
I just want to give a quick shout out to Garms. He was big braining a lot this game. Zeus, he popped off. This guy's normally a dung brain, but today he just brought it up. You know, his brain is growing at an exponential rate. We just want to keep that facilitated, keep it going. And then number one, we want to give it to Crash. We recently brought him up as a coach. Follow him on Twitter, Crash_TNT. He really helped us out in this game.
Fantastic. Well, with that being said, we want to go ahead and give you a big thanks, Iron Crit, for hopping in here and just answering a few silly questions.
My pleasure, man.
All right, have a good time. Go decompress with your team or whatever it is you do after games, my friends.
Sounds good. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So that was Iron Crit of Magna Terra, who once again should be congratulated for the victory over Hunky Dory, and special thanks to them for having some fantastic Overwatch to put on display. It's time to say goodbye to them. We're hoping forward we get to see them in the All-Star Brawl number 3, which is going to be coming up soon. But in that event, while we wait for the MVP poll to be decided, it's important to remember that if you want to be on board and get notified every time we have these awesome games coming up, don't forget to throw us that follow, as we are going to be bringing it live all the time. And even better, we even have another game for y'all tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. A fantastic game. Looking forward. Definitely will not want to miss it. But you said it, Threep, and I'll go ahead and deliver for you. I do have the envelope for our MVP vote here. And are you ready, Threep?
I'm never ready, so you gotta hit me with it now before I lose my cool.
All right, it looks like the viewers have decided that it's going to be Nico walking away with the MVP for this round, this match, and I couldn't disagree any less.
I'm going to get my surprised face on. Ready? Here we go. It seems pretty obvious. Nico did some fantastic work. We did just get done hearing from Iron Crit about how good Zeus was on his Pharah and of course on the Reaper. But honestly, like, it was just clapback after clapback from Nico bringing out those Doomfist right clicks.
Yeah, and I think both players of this side, Magna Terra, are going to be very deserving of either one of them deserving of the MVP award. They definitely stood out. I thought Zeus had an amazing Pharah gameplay on Nepal, but things went a little bit differently. Nico going to be walking away with that trophy. So congratulations, Nico, as well. Congratulations, Magna Terra, for walking away with the big W for this match.
And that's just going to have to wrap it up, I think. So thanks, everyone, for joining us tonight. This has been Threepwood007. You can grab me on Twitch or Twitter at Threepwood007.
And likewise, I have been Sir Waltham. You can catch me on Twitch or Twitter, Sir Waltham, Waltham. And once again, don't forget to join us in about, I'd say, an hour. I don't have my clock on me. About an hour and 10 minutes. Or, no, excuse me, it got moved back. It's going to be 2 hours and 10 minutes for the next game between Citizens and Dismissed, if I am not mistaken, featuring Threep and Shy Guy. I will not be sitting in on this one, but look forward to seeing you guys there. I'll be in the chat. I know that for sure. But in the meantime, we want to go ahead and thank you guys for tuning in and joining us. We hope you guys have a great night out there and stay safe, everybody.